Hello everybody, this is Mikey Bee of the Super High production team.
And this is Jerry Wilson.
Today we are watching The Sleaze King, one of our most popular movies.
And the longest so far.
Yeah, it's the longest, it's an hour long. So, I just want to start off saying that we just started shooting a bunch of stuff right away when we had the idea. Just random shots that kind of came together in this first little sequence here.
And you can tell how long ago this was because my hair is a lot longer now.
Yeah,
it was a lot shorter back then, if you can believe that.
We shot it. We started shooting it maybe like a month or so after we finished up Flesh Freak 2. So it started like around July. You can tell it's nice and sunny. And I wanted to go with a lot of different tones in this. I was trying to get the look just right, but I mean I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, we shot a lot of this not knowing what part it was gonna go into, but all this stuff in the beginning was just random stuff we shot, and you just put it right in the beginning.
Yep, and I modeled my narration voice a little bit after Patrick Stewart because I think at this time I just got done watching the movie Ted, and I thought it was funny Patrick Stewart was the narrator in that. So, and then this little jazzy number that we have going on with it, I just feel like it works. But we'll get into the story of the Sleaze King, like why we chose that in a little bit. But we had a good time making it, though.
Yeah.
It was a lot different than Flesh Freak.
It was a lot of fun, and it was a lot easier than Flesh Freak.
Right, because there wasn't the mask, and a lot of people were really willing to help us do it, but they were really confused.
And I get to flex my acting muscle a little bit.
Yeah, and so do I. Even though we are kind of like the characters that we are.
Yeah.
And so here we got Chris, Ryan, and Eric, the bullies. They all came out one day, just I think it was after church. They came right out. They're very willing to do it, and we were so grateful to have these guys do it. And they're your typical bros talking about bacon and such.
Talking about meaty things, manly things.
Now this part's funny where Eric draws out the King of Sleaze, and then the Sleaze King kind of interrupts him before he can even finish his syllable. Well, that was on accident, where I accidentally I stopped the tape before, oops, that's like an oops. So it turned out okay, because it looks kind of funny, because it's slow-mo and it gets cut off. But I like this cross-eyed look that he gives, it's pretty funny.
This part was so hard to shoot because, we kept cracking up, every shot, because I didn't know exactly what to say.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where good writing comes in. I have this friend that tells me that I'm a great writer, but I didn't really physically write anything. I just have it all upstairs, and I say, you should say this. But, sometimes scripts and stuff help. I had, an outline, a rough outline for this movie, but,
We never have scripts or anything, so everyone just has to kind of just say something like this.
Right.
And then they say something that is like that in their own words, and sometimes it's more believable, maybe sometimes it's not, but
yeah, and sometimes it works out well and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we just have to go with what they say, but sometimes we don't.
We had that idea where the bullies are making fun of him because he likes sleaze, and I just thought they should all just say sleaze sucks at the same time.
And the thing with Sleaze King, you can bring him down, but you can't beat him because he loves sleaze. So to him, it's just yeah, I do love sleaze, duh.
And the Sleaze King is kind of, sort of modeled after me, and kind of with the same voice of Dennison from Flesh Freak, obviously.
But I have to point out, this was Chris Mitchell's funk tune for the Sleaze King going up, which he did a good job. Back to Dennison.
Yeah. And it's kind of modeled after me because at the time I was personally on a hunt for a lot of sleazy movies myself, and that's kind of where the story came from. This guy, he's just on the lookout for sleazy movies and stuff, which is basically what I was doing at that time.
And me at that time, I was very confused about his quest for more sleaze. So, maybe that's where a little bit of Skeeter came in. And yes, I do own all those clothes independently of this movie.
And I own all mine too.
We actually had to go out to buy the sleeve shirt though. The
Yeah.
overshirt, we didn't know if we wanted him to have a trench coat or we wanted him. At one point, he was going to wear a wig, but we thought
I liked
no.
that shirt we wore because we were filming in really hot weather, so I didn't want something really baggy and like hot or too dark. And that one was very like flowy, and I think it works well for the Sleaze King.
It does, and it's got all those weird colors in it. And it's weird. Sometimes, we'll go to the like Meyer or something, and we'll just be hanging out, and we'll see like a guy that looks like a 40-year-old Sleaze King just chilling out, like ugh. But whatever. And when we were filming this scene in the park, look, there's a cop back there, just hanging out, waiting for trouble to happen. We have to make sure we don't cause
At
a
the park
ruckus.
where nothing happens ever.
Yeah, nothing, wink, happens ever, except for flesh freak attacks, Sleaze King going-ons, and other whatsits.
Other super hive shenanigans.
Yeah.
This is the Sleaze King like initiating Skeeter a little bit. He's like trying to find him a good nickname. He says something like the Sleaze Kid or something, and Skeeter doesn't like that.
Yeah.
He feels inappropriate about that.
Skeeter, he does not much care to be called a sleaze kid. And he doesn't quite understand the concept of being called Skeeter either. There's another scene that I wanted to put in there, I forgot to do, where Skeeter says that he's joining the great pantheon of Skeeters, and there's going to be flashes of other historical Skeeters. I forgot to do it, but it would have been a great scene.
You never told me about that.
I did, but we never did it.
Oh.
I forgot to bring it up again.
Just like the lost scene where I read the excerpt of Sleaze, which you never put in there.
Yeah,
Is
but
that in this version?
no, it's on the DVD though.
Oh.
They can find it
Watch
on this.
that.
On this
I
disc.
wanted that in the original, but he wouldn't put it in.
I couldn't find a good place for it, but it will be on the DVD. This is another one of our like long Sleaze Skeeter walks. I think there's like 3 Sleaze Skeeter walks in the movie.
Isn't that important to the movie later? The paper he picks up.
The piece of paper. We don't want to ruin it for the folks. I'll bring it up.
I just said it was important, so remember that.
Yeah, remember that, folks. But yeah, this is funny because this is one of the original ideas. We didn't film till later. That the Sleaze King will be digging through that $5 bin at Walmart. Don't act big and bad like you haven't done it. We've all gone through that bin, and
never find too much good.
There's nothing good. And this
I found that movie and I thought it looked cool. It was just some horror movie, like some zombie horror movie. And I thought, oh, we should just say faith in humanity restored by 2%, because Sleaze King doesn't like normal movies.
Yeah, he doesn't like Hunger Games at all.
No.
He puts 2
He's
thumbs
not a
down.
Twilight fan.
Nope. And we also thought of a funny idea where the Sleaze King does encounter Twilight, and he just can't handle it. Oh, here you can tell that my hair is shorter, because this is when we first started, and then it grew out by the time we did the bully scene, so you can see my hair goes through like a transformation.
I think this is the first thing we ever shot. And
besides like the walking down the street stuff, this is like the actual like...
And this is the Sleaze King's birthday, and this is a movie I bought, and it wasn't my birthday or anything, but I just got it, and I thought it looked cool. So we included this in the movie.
And you can tell that this is my house.
This is my dwelling, where I watch sleazy movies
actual
a lot.
house. But and then this kind of stuff went on. I admit it goes on a little bit too long, with the whole like happy birthday to me. But I want you to get a feel of what the Sleaze King would do hours and hours on end.
I would actually do this for hours and hours on end.
Yeah, the actual
From time to time.
The actual Jeremiah. He sits in his room and watches movies of this caliber.
I like them.
Yeah, no, I don't have a thing against...
I don't know what's wrong with you, but...
No, well, maybe there is something wrong with me, but this movie I thought was kind of funny. I didn't really have a problem with it. I actually sat down and watched the whole thing with you. And I can see some entertainment value of sleazy movies, but as, I don't know, I couldn't watch them all the time. They're bloody, they're messy.
I don't watch them all the time. mostly because a lot of them are really dark.
Yeah,
and
they're dark.
really poorly shot and stuff.
Yeah.
But I have a few that are some of my favorites.
Now, we should say that we had to, before this movie came out, we had to address the idea of sleaze, because the common folk would think of sleaze as something very dirty, and we don't want to like portray that to people that we're just a bunch of like smut peddlers or whatnot, which, I mean, there's a little bit of that element in a sleaze movie, but when it comes to this particular type of sleaze, when we are talking about sleaze, I don't care what other people say, when we are talking about it, we're talking about movies like Happy Birthday to Me, and Basket Case, and Night of the Bloody Apes, and The Wizard of Gore. Movies where people's heads get cut off and blood squirts everywhere and it's dark, but these movies also have a tendency of having long, drawn-out, boring parts to them. A bunch of like plot points that don't make sense. Poorly shot scenes, you know. They're a class among themselves. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. I concur.
Well, good. And I like the eerie music of Happy Birthday to Me. I feel like it kind of goes along good with the whole Sleaze King vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with what he's talking about in this scene. And we're gonna...
Sleaze King critiques sleazy movies by himself, too. Even though he likes them. He just likes the art form that, these movies are made in and stuff. But it doesn't really excite Skeeter too much.
Well, Skeeter is like a man baby. I don't know how old he's supposed to be. Like, if he's supposed to be 20, 25, or 16, 15, I don't know. That's up for the audience to discover. But he has the mental integrity of a baby.
Of a 13-year-old? Or
Yeah.
12-year-old, or whatever Sleaze King said.
Yeah. Whatever you say later on in the movie. This is a funny joke here.
That shows you the enthusiasm the Sleaze King wakes up to every day.
And he can't get along without his coffee. He always has to make his cup of joe.
Just another thing that I probably do sometimes.
And you can tell that it's like almost noon because of the microwave. You know, I like the way this came together.
Did Skeeter bring those Cocoa Puffs from home, or did
I think
Sleaze King have them in his own kitchen?
I think he took them from the Sleaze King's kitchen.
Oh.
Maybe the Sleaze... and I wanted another scene where the Sleaze King broke into a cooking show, cooking with Sleaze, but it was breaking the format a little bit, so we just didn't do it.
Oh.
But maybe for another offshoot movie. Wow, I still have all my teeth in that shot. That's good.
What happened to your teeth?
You never know. They could fall out. I mean, at this point in time...
Here's a chance for me to show you what kind of music I like. And
oh yeah, that's your actual CD.
Yeah, I have that in my car.
Look at him bob. Yeah, this is good stuff, yeah.
You might catch me, if you ever see me driving, I might be pulling.
And you may catch me doing faces like that. Yeah. Don't worry, he's looking at the road. It looks like he has his eyes shut, but don't worry, he's not a bad driver.
I'm enjoying those slow tunes as well. And then this was bird crapped on my window that day, so I decided to complain about it. Because that's what the Sleaze King does a lot, he complains about stuff.
And I'm going to complain about something right now. I hate dumb little glitches in the movie, like little tiny frames that just go glitch. I feel like that happens too often in our movies, but I blame the software. But that's beyond the point. Now look at this. This is a Pure Michigan parody. In case you don't know what that is, in case you live out of state, Pure Michigan is a tourism thing narrated by Tim Allen to get people to come to the state. And I thought it'd be great if the Sleaze King reminisced about sleazy movies.
And it just so happened we were in luck. My local town, Bellevue, has their own drive-in, which is pretty good. And it's the place we decided to go to shoot this scene.
It's not the best, and the price isn't the best either, but it's still okay.
They got really good root beer.
Nachos are okay. I could take them or leave them. But who goes to the drive-thru for nachos? And this is supposed to be the Sleaze Den, but
I still have that poster.
do you?
And all those movies, which I decided just sort them out, array them for the audience. So
And
they
if you
could
watch
see.
the bloopers, you see that poster come down. We had an awful time keeping that poster up. And you see that Jerry here gets a little bit laughing because he didn't think that this movie was actually going to get made. So maybe he didn't. Maybe he actually didn't think that he should be serious.
Like the first half is like, oh well, this might just be a failed super half experiment or whatever.
Mhm.
Like our dozens of others or however many others.
We don't have that many failed experiments, but I mean that martial arts movie never got going. But that's beyond the point. That will happen eventually, 10 years or so down the road. But this gets to the meat of the movie, where the Sleaze King describes his movies that he just desires.
Yeah, he has 3 that he wants: Basket Case, Wizard of Gore, and Night of the Bloody Apes.
Yeah, not in that order though.
Yeah.
And so it's one of these movies that progress,
Those are movies
on
that
and
I
on.
actually wanted.
Yeah, he
And
didn't
I
own
just-
any of those, and we thought about maybe making fake movies or making.
But I eventually just got my Barbie hands on them.
He did. eBay did wonders. That scene where he's shaking the computer and he's frustrated with eBay. Well, eBay was actually more accommodating for him than the actual Sleaze King.
We thought this idea would be funny because there's no movie, there's Napoleon Dynamite, which is about, that kid who draws, like, griffins and stuff and is super nerdy. We thought it'd be funny if there was a guy like this, a guy like me who likes sleazy movies like that. And it's like, an awkward person.
Now, why do you have these weights on your porch? I've always wondered.
To work out with.
Oh, okay.
That's why anyone has weights.
That's why you're so strong.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
That's where I work out for flesh freak training.
Yeah, and I don't know if the audience at home can recognize this, but
Rocky theme.
well, yeah, they can recognize that. But I was saying that Skeeter's got this headband on.
Yeah.
And
you don't ever see Skeeter training though.
No.
He's trying his hardest to keep up with the Sleaze King in his training.
Oh, look, some scissors. And he runs with scissors. Don't do that, kids. That'll hurt you.
The Sleaze King does naughty things, but not too naughty. Just naughty enough.
I really hurt myself too.
On that fall. And it really was this hot, that July.
It was dripping wet sweat.
Gotta make sure I'm holding the camera right then.
Yep, and this is one of these artistic transitions here. Hello, my name is Slush.
This song was written and
Yeah.
recorded by me.
Yeah, it was. It's Welcome to the Grindhouse. Or no,
That's another one I made.
Yeah. You had 2 songs for this movie, Welcome to the Grindhouse and the Sleaze King theme, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is another bench sitting scene. We have 2 bench sitting scenes and 2 walking scenes. But hey, whatever. That's the type of movie that we're going for here. And I don't know if you noticed, but they're sitting on wet paint. That was an actual sign on the bench that said wet paint.
Because that's what we do, because we're a reckless bunch.
But I tested the bench, and it's not really wet, so don't worry. And also, you may notice that's the tripod bag sitting behind me. But, you wouldn't have known that. So, that's why you listen to the commentary, for the fun little facts.
The rare and obscure facts.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to wear a few more shirts in the movie. I had a few more on that were not just the 3 Wolf Moon. But I think that was the one that got the majority of the airtime. But you'll notice later on I might have a Spider-Man shirt or that dumb cuckoo puff shirt or whatever. I love those slushies for only $1 in the summertime. In In the wintertime, they go up to like $1.50. I don't get it. Now here we're outside the famous like Eaton Rapids video store, and the reason it's the Noah's Ark of Sleaze and not the Ark of the Covenants of Sleaze, I don't know. Maybe all the sleaze came in 2 by 2.
There's my famous rare and obscure, which is like.
He says it sounds like a little kid. Rare and obscure.
I know, like I'm seeing a Nintendo 64 for the first time. Nintendo 64.
Rare and obscure 64.
And look, see, it's right up my alley because it has movies that I like.
They did have quite a few like sleazy movies. There's Sleepaway Camp. Man, they do have a lot of.
They did have a lot of movies that I thought looked good, and that ones that I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm. So if you're ever in Eaton Rapids, Michigan, you should check this place out. I mean, it's not like a holly jolly good time, but it's pretty decent. I guess Sleaze King is under the impression if it's not rated R or unrated, then it's not good. If it's PG,
more unrated.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure the camera stays up on the shelf.
Yep, I'm looking right on it, making sure it can see me as I'm looking at it. That's a bad habit. Now, you have to keep in mind, this is the third film that we've put out. The first one, Flesh Freak, it was shorter. There's definitely problems in it. The second one is longer. It's got some issues. This one's got issues too. I mean, by the fourth one, okay, I know what the fourth one is. I know that one has issues. But by the fifth one, I mean, it should be good, right? It should be really hunky-dory. I mean, it's a process. So don't get too judgmental. We're not pros.
You learn by doing.
You learn by doing.
And experience.
That is such a philosophical thing. You learn by doing.
Just another one of my great quotes that I put out daily.
And this is another great quote here. I have some Metal Gear sound effects that I am holding on to.
Why would the Sleaze King just wash just his sleeve shirt and then not dry it? He just like shakes it off and it's good. Oh, and the legendary walk scene.
Yep, I always wanted one of these. Like we saw this big long bridge, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if we had a big long walk down the bridge? And I needed a really hip, cool song. I couldn't find anything that really fit the tone too well, and I wanted a real funky song. And I couldn't find the funky thing that I really wanted. But we used Can You Feel It by the Fat Boys. And I thought, since it was made in the 80s, they wouldn't give me any copyright guff. But they did when I tried to put it online. So whatever. And now
YouTube's pretty dumb like that. Oh, it's a copyrighted song, so you
Yeah.
can't use it in your movie. Who cares?
Ooh.
It's not like they're watching the movie to hear only that song.
Right, and exactly. And I would love to make money off this. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like I have. And the Fat Boys are doing all right. They're fat after all. But
I really found that movie in like just some yard sale.
yeah, and
somewhere.
did you see the size of that thing? That thing was epic. We just happened upon a lot of good stuff. And you see that black shirt he's wearing? Well, there's a funny story behind that.
Oh, I thought I picked out my Frightmare shirt one day and it turned out to be one of my sister's dumb shirts. So
And then he threw it out the window.
Oh,
Sorry, Kaylee.
I hope she doesn't get a copy.
She won't. She never
That
listened
never
to this.
really happened.
But
It's
it
just
did.
a normal black shirt. Shh, shut up.
And then, so those are all my toys and stuff on the shelf.
And I'm just making fun of them.
Uh-huh. This is like my actual basement, so I'm actually really like Cedar. Except for my Wii is not in the basement, and the toys aren't littered everywhere, but for the most part. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. And what's funny is this is Jeremiah's Guitar Hero, and this is... I mean, I'm getting sick of all that clutter. I should have done a better job cleaning up. Like, that stupid puppet shouldn't have been there. But who cares?
Oh, that's Skeeter's puppet. He's
Skeeter.
nerdy like that.
So
You don't need to make an excuse for everything.
That's true, that's true.
And then I gotta be singing Slow Ride, Take It Sleazy, because Mike thought that would be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of get the feel that like Sleaze King's like kind of like he likes older stuff, like he's into like the 70s and 80s, and that's the kind of time period of this song too. He's a 70s and 80s rocker type dude.
Skeeter's such a slump. He just takes his insults and he bounces right back just to get insulted again. And he can't even handle spicy chips. What a loser.
Skeeter just thinks everything's funny. Wow, I was doing terrible. I used to be really good at Guitar Hero.
Well, you're doing better than me.
I think it was because, like, my green button, like,
Oh.
I think I hammered it too many times, and it just doesn't work
Well,
as
that's a
well
Guitar
anymore.
Hero 3 guitar. And you've had that one for years.
Yeah.
Time to upgrade.
No.
No.
New Guitar Hero sucks.
Okay. Someone's originalist.
3 and Metallica were, like, the only good ones, I think. That came out for Wii anyway.
The Sleaze King isn't even doing anything.
That happens to me so much. People are like, "Oh, shut up, I got it." And I didn't even say anything. Gotta take his shame away.
Now we're at Burger King, and there was a whole story behind here where Sleaze King and Skeeter, they go to Burger King, and we had like this whole like idea of calling it Slurger King, Sleazer King. We didn't know what to call it, and he's just like, "Oh, one of these days, this place will be named after me." And then I was gonna have a whole cutaway where he's actually listening to reggae, but again, that was a little bit too silly. We were running low on time, so we didn't film that. But this, we were just in this record shop, and the music just happened to cut out right when I said this. And it was quite funny. And then we had this whole place in the arcade. We had jokes in here too, like I was saying stuff while playing games. But then I thought, it's so loud in here, you couldn't even hear us in the first place. And I had to duck down so you could see us playing the Simpsons game.
Another time for
It was a fun
narration
game.
from Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, and I thought it was very fitting because they are getting sidetracked. This movie's getting sidetracked. What happened to all those movies? But we're getting back to that.
It's a very long build-up, actually. I didn't really think about that.
It is quite a long build-up. It takes about half the movie to get to their first actual movie. And what's great about the summertime, there's always yard sales, and as soon as I thought there was never going to be a yard sale again, there was a garage sale, except for we had to fake this part. Put a camera in a box and put a bunch of junk in the box. And for all you Michigan State fans out there, you may be happy for me to have a Michigan hat and kind of toss to the side like garbage. And all you Michigan fans, maybe you're happy that you saw a Michigan hat. So it works on both levels. And this part's hilarious because, like, this is something that Jeremiah came up with on the spot. Like, he just saw these 3D glasses and he's like, what if this movie was in 3D? He looks so evil. Just glaring right into the frame, into your soul. He's like, keep those on. He has no caring for Skeeter's safety or well-being.
I hope his brain turns into sleaze mush by all the celluloid gore.
By this time, Skeeter's got a tumor the size of Texas. He's having a nervous breakdown.
Skeeter just obeyed, and he just kept the glasses on the whole time, and he just flicks them off.
And then this is a part of the movie, like every movie's got to have that part where they just kind of strain the relationship. So this is the part where Skeeter and Sleaze King, their relationship is coming to like a kind of a breaking point where Skeeter would always just follow the Sleaze King, but now he's like, wait, why aren't we watching the movie at my house? And
Because I tell him he has the cultural integrity of a 4th grader or whatever. I make fun of him, Sleaze King makes fun of Skeeter from time to time, and it goes on Skeeter's nerves.
Until where he just snaps. And in that scene, I had a line where I was playing like Final Fantasy or something like that, something that actually uses dark magic, and then Skeeter's always like, "Oh, dark magic, what's that?" But he should know because he's playing the game.
Skeeter seems like a guy who would play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons and all that dumb stuff. I mean, unless you like it. And you could see the paper in the phone book that has wizards, shamans, and all the other stuff just laying out. That's sometimes when
Maybe
you get...
that's just a bookmark.
Maybe it's just a bookmark. But sometimes when you get rushed, like little mistakes like that happen. But it's not a huge deal. Like you said, it's just a bookmark.
See, and Sleaze King just makes Skeeter just do all of his stuff for him. Take care of this while I go off and I make stuff happen for us.
Now, one thing I hate about this is so windy, but we only had Trey for like this limited amount of time.
And it's like, why didn't Sleaze King just think of Harold in the first place instead of looking through the phone book or whatever? But maybe he just had a flashback. Oh yeah, I know Harold. This guy who's like an African witch doctor, except he's not really African.
But I think it's just really, really funny. I don't even know how we came up with the idea of having this character, but first we thought it'd be funny if it was someone to conjure up the Wizard of Gore. But then we thought it'd be funny if it was like a witch doctor, which means he would have to be African, which means, but I don't know that many Africans. So we thought, well, we'll just use Trey, because he's a good actor, he's willing to do anything. So we got Trey on board, and he didn't know how to do an African accent. So I had to teach him how to be African and talk about the rice that I cannot eat, or whatever. And I provided him with a turban, which he's fixing, and I provided him with that shirt, which is an artifact of Africa. And there's parts in this movie where his accent slips from Indian to African to Jamaican, but it's okay.
Roughly the same accent.
Roughly the same, gives off the same vibe. And Harold,
this was kind of funny where Sleaze King pulls Skeeter and he doesn't want to.
he's like a scared little puppy. He doesn't want to go in. It's like, get in here. And Skeeter's not too happy about it. Again, it's a natural thing to look at the camera to make sure it's standing up right.
I doctored up this room pretty nicely to make it
right.
Seem like a witch doctor den or whatever.
Yeah, I think it did.
A small conjuring room.
And so you can't really tell that it's really the inside of a barn, even though the outside looks kind of like a barn. But you know, it's got the ivy and stuff around it, so it's all good.
He's kind of like not really shady, but like not very known, like Dr. Schwelling.
Stu Chance. I don't know why he says Stu Chance. Well, I know why he says it, because apparently I told him to say Stu Chance, and I don't know why. I don't remember telling him that, but there's more than one witness that says that I told him to say Stu.
Told him to say Stu Chance.
And I don't know. I don't know where that came from, honestly. And then I watched it back.
Maybe he's baking up a stew for Sleaze.
I don't know. That was.
And this was pretty silly. Like we just had the idea, like he just has to do chants. So why don't we just say Ron Ron Roo, like the
Japanese. The Japanese
Ronald
McDonald.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, that's just hilarious. And I have to thank Vicky for holding the light. Good job, Vicky. You held that light very well.
Oh, our awesome special effects team.
Yeah. And it was just, our luck that she came along, because I just wanted Trey, but she decided to come. But, we put her to work.
This is where Sleaze King gets a little ahead of himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he decides to grab the sleaze for himself. but he's not trained in the art of, grabbing sleaze from, whatever otherworldly powers that Frico has, so he ends up not getting the sleaze movie he seeks.
Or speaks. If you notice, there's a cut there. It's Trey said the entire line. He said like a minute's worth of stuff perfectly, without flaw. And then he said, "You will not find what you speak. I mean, seek."
He said it right after. That's a good outtake. You should
watch
the outtakes right now.
No, not
stop
right
the
now.
movie
No.
And watch that outtake.
Watch the commentary. Watch all of this, and then go back and watch the outtakes.
Yeah. But don't watch the movie until you've seen that outtake.
Watch the outtake first before you watch the entire movie. In fact, if you remember watching the movie without the outtakes, then forget the movie. And here's some foreshadowing for you. Hashtag foreshadowing.
Yeah. What's more dear to me than sleaze? That's what he says. The sleaze is his whole life. And he might be getting a little obsessed with it. Well, he is obsessed with it, but he might be taking it a little too far.
And it may cost him dearly. Which, it does. This was an awful thing to shoot. Because it was funnier in my head, but when we actually did it, it was awful.
Yeah, it just didn't, work out well. It was just one of those random things we thought would be funny. And, there was some stupid lady there who was asking, "What are you doing?" And, she just made it awkward.
She wouldn't mind her own business. Now, that happens from time to time. Obviously, with people setting up a camera and running around, it's bound to, draw attention. We got plenty of attention doing Flush Freak in the park. But, but at least that, I don't know. Somehow that was more credible. We
wanted them to act energetic, and they were like, "Oh, little sleazers, let's go!" And then we got to the door, and I was like, "Oh, we gotta open the door." Or not as fast as we were going. This is me trying to bet on the Wizard of Gore online.
Sleaze
and
Master
sometimes on eBay
47.
it's like this. Sometimes I try and outbid people, but it's not really that epic or disappointing when I don't get what I desire. And Skeeter just brought me some sleazerberry juice. In case you haven't known, we try and fill every word in with sleaze that we can.
Yep, that was one of the big
jokes.
The big joke in the movie is there's sleaze this, sleaze that. Well, we wanted it to be like the Smurfs, where everything was Smurf this, Smurf that.
Except it's sleaze.
And you can see my hair is back to being short, just like in the other scene. Oh, and here's that piece of paper. Nick Tack Sideshow for Fun, Fear, and the Wizard of Gore.
Sleaze, this is it. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. sharp, we're off to the circus.
The next day, much later than expected.
1:40. Fashionably 1 minute early.
This is behind Haley's house, or Nick's house at the time.
I thought it'd be a funny idea if Skeeter was singing The Wizard of Gore, and then Sleaze King just slaps him because he doesn't like silly jokes, I guess. And we went to the what circus, or not circus,
it
what
was
fair was
the
this?
Ingham County Fair.
Yeah. This was a nice little fair.
I've never been to this fair before in my life. But, I mean, obviously after now I have. Man, you love that Mystifier.
That's a cheap joke.
Skeeter's like, what does this do? Where does it come out?
It was funny because there was a little show thing, or a little display for little arts and crafts, and it said something like a Skeeter display or something.
No, we'll get to that. It's coming up.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a fun day. See, Skeeter Hill.
Skeeter Hill.
See?
We thought that was
ironic, and it was a good sign. And, this was just a fun little day. It was weird trying to get all the scenes, and I lost Jeremiah. We got separated for like a good 30 minutes.
And my phone was dead.
And your phone was dead, but we saw the demo. It wasn't even the Demolition Derby. It's the figure 8 track or whatever, which is kind of like the same, but not really. It was alright, and then people were crowding around and stuff. We just wanted to get out of there, but it was a nice little fair. It's a little bit cleaner than the Eaton County Fair. And then here he gets the dinosaur, which is such a funny little prop. just to
It
be
was so funny last time I got a tiny stuffed dinosaur, like from
right.
Step Brothers, which I just carried around.
Oh my! That's based on a real incident too. He just saw a bottle of water,
And I just grabs it. Sleaze King just grabs what he wants.
but it was like he was so hot. He just like, oops, snatch. And then here comes the Wizard of
Amazing
Gore.
oddities. It's just discreetly pasted on one of the sheds they had at the fair or whatever.
And but man, when we shot that scene where he runs into the into the Nick Tag's pavilion,
Like over and over again, because people kept getting in my way.
And
Like people would just walk by and I almost ran into them, and they're like, "What are you doing?"
exactly. It's a good thing Nick can play chords he's actually hitting.
I thought that'd be a funny idea. Nick just had that keyboard in his barn, and I thought he should just be playing it, and he's like playing actual music.
Yeah,
it's
and
not plugged
in case you don't know, that song was the Lavender Town song from Pokemon, which is very creepy. So it fits. And Nick was amazing, and Nick doesn't always have like that goatee thing on, but it really suited him well. And we wanted him to have like a top hat, and we wanted him to have like a magician's robe. But no, he had like a robe, and he was boiling in that thing. And I applaud myself. That was some good editing. He goes from one side to another.
It's like, what took him so long?
Skeeter?
It took him like a whole 10 seconds just to get around on the other side.
He was looking probably at a bird cage or something. You know, Skeeter, getting easily distracted. This part was just so hilarious. We just kept cracking up the entire time.
Nick Tag tries to sell him some ridiculous, like, crap that no one would even want, and then he has one good thing. But
Yeah,
it's not for sale. Of course.
And Sleaze King loses his mind over it. But Nick came up with all these jokes himself. We're just like, okay, well, we're gonna have like an oddity show. And it was kind of like going back and forth, like, are they for sale? Are they oddities? And
they're just kind of a thing people come in. So like some of it's for sale, but
most of it,
people come by and they look and they go,
ooh, and
turtle with 3 heads or whatever.
Yeah, and so he's got this crap that nobody wants. Like, oh, these shoes belong to Shoeless Joe. He was a famous baseball player. This show belonged to Casper, and then he died. And these pickles will give you magical powers.
Make you live forever. And we had to put the Wizard of Gore in a bird cage to keep it safe from robbers or
extra protection. And that's Haley's bird cage, and it's another beautiful find. The guys, they can't believe it. Oh man, this is where the movie starts to cook, y'all.
It's about boiling time for this movie.
Man, and I'm so glad it's shot in HD. Look at that beautiful sunlight coming in, and all the beautiful like hay particles
reflecting the sunlight off the hay particles. He shows me Wizard of Gore, but he won't let me touch it because it's so dear to him. He like lost a daughter in China because of that movie or whatever.
I'm sure he said something about giving up his medical practice for it. But the point is that Nick Tag, he's antagonistic towards the Sleaze King. He drives the Sleaze King up the wall, and that's why we need someone to get under.
He teases him with his favorite movie that he needs, and then
it drives him like to a point where no one wants to go. That's breaking the moral code, breaking the law. We already had the foreshadowing of the Sleaze King stealing the water bottle. Now we have the Sleaze King willing to steal the movie. And this is something that separates Sleaze King from Skeeter. And
the Sleaze Boys from the Sleaze Kings.
Exactly. He's gonna rough him up. And we want to see more Nick Tag. Nick Tag needs more of his own stuff. We need a Nick Tag movie where he acquires goods.
Nick Tag was also supposed to be kind of like Sonor Cargage from HomestarRunner.com. Oh,
They're your famous "This is bullcrypt" line, which
one of my great quotes.
What you wanted to do that for the longest time. You're like, I want to say "This is bullcrypt" in the movie, and you did.
Mission probably accomplished. The best time. And I'm gonna say it more in the sequel. I was planning on saying it more. I just didn't.
It's gonna
like,
be
get
a
around to
regular
it.
catchphrase, but
This is not the end of this.
and then Nick is
And then
so
Skeeter just has to drag me along by my sleeve shirt.
the Nick tag. He already said that they don't have security, but which is a bad omission on his part. He's just so like lethargic. He's like, "Bye guys." I do like this shot too. Like we're outside the circus, you can see the Ferris wheel and the spinning things and the cars going by, which they shouldn't be going by.
He's so worried about
What if my mama finds out?
about doing anything that would be wrong.
And what's funny is I just happen to have a Cocoa Puff shirt. Like, might as well have a Sleazy Puff shirt. And
This
here,
scene was really funny. Like, this is we're gonna go in and steal the Wizard of War scene. Like, grab us a mask. But we don't have any masks. But then Nick gave Mike that Jar Jar Binks mask.
and
It's
then
funny, and the Sleaze King makes fun of Skeeter here for it.
and then he didn't have any other mask, so Jeremiah had to do it with a helmet. This part is really funny because it falls off. And I just grab it and I put it on backwards. I'm like, I know that it's backwards. I'm just like, I don't care.
That ended up being one of the funnier things in this movie. It's like, who needs the masks anyway? There's only one person you're stealing from.
And
it's
he
funny that he sleeps there in the circus.
He doesn't have a home. And yes, we
With
tried
his
to put a
oddities,
blue filter over it to make it look like night. And yes, it does look like night a little bit, except for the sun shining through the barn doors. But who cares? I think it gets the point across.
It's like dusk.
Dusk.
That's around
That's
this
his
time.
bedtime. That Nick Tag's bedtime is dusk. Can't get it out.
I can't. Like I was like, oh, it'd be funny if he tried like the little door that
Right.
they try and put the food in or whatever. But I had to, manually take it off the string it was hooked up on
Oh, it's so
on the
hard.
bird cage,
And
and then
then
unlatch it, take it out, and then watch this. This is
Yeah, this
comes into play a little bit
right.
later in this scene.
Right, it looks like maybe he's just checking to see that it's all in there, but maybe so he just puts
I
it back
did
in the
that
cage.
pretty good.
Yeah, you did. And he hands it off to Skeeter, but like this is so dumb. Why did he have to go around? But this is so funny. Like Nick was really roughing me up too. Like I got roughed up so much by Nick and Chris during this movie, and the Sleaze King. They all roughed me up. I was their whipping boy.
You took all the abuse from everybody. This is where the Sleaze King is a little bit selfish, and he takes the movie for himself and leaves his buddy hanging in the dumps.
And Nick,
There's Nick's crowning moment in this movie.
that's where Nick Tag goes from just being your average Joe to being the angry, boiling beast inside. I always wanted the Sleaze King to have he should have had a happier moment instead of just jumping up on the stairs, but he's too excited. He has to watch that movie now. He's giddily going inside.
If he's watching his sleazy movies, he's having a good time.
He's having a good time. And this was too much fun itself. And this went on forever. I recorded the whole thing, like a whole 5-minute long thing where Skeeter progressively gets more and more pathetic in jail, and he starts almost pseudo cursing out the Sleaze King. But I had to pick and choose my moments, and as you can tell, the freeze frame is up for a little bit because I wanted to fit more of it in here. This is Sleaze King. He just gets fed up with all these stupid messages. Even though they're coming through on a fax machine, but I'm sure he gets messages too. Whatever.
It's his fax
And
his
answering-
telephone and answering machine.
And his Wi-Fi.
For being a guy who likes older things, he's
Clonk.
he just gives it a good clonk.
And
He doesn't
see,
like newer
there's
things. He likes
Montag.
older
That's
things.
that's where we got the idea to do. Nick Tag was from Montag.
This was one of my favorite movies. This was a good one. Yes, I enjoyed it. That was me actually watching this movie. I enjoy these kinds of movies, and you'll call me strange for it, I'm sure.
But what's funny is all the stuff that we did with Trey and everything that all the Night of the Bloody Apes shot and this shot, they were all done at the same time, and I just think that's really great that we could shoot that and then fill it in later. And Trey and Vicky, they're not Sleaze fans. They're watching and they're a little bit like, oh, this is a little bit too much. But
Sleaze King's kind of being a little remorseful here for leaving Skeeter behind because he doesn't have anyone to watch sleazy movies with, and he would, talk to Skeeter, see what he thought about the sleazy movie, but he's not here. Sleaze King's all alone.
Oh, where did Skeeter go? Well, but I feel like the music again goes along pretty good. Like the ambient music of the movie goes with the mood of this movie. And this was my idea, and I feel like this turned out a lot better than what I actually thought was going to happen. Where he's talking to his reflection. And then, this movie just dips into the surreal sometimes. So he's talking to his reflection. And I think we've all had this moment in real life where we've had a conscious, we're struggling with our conscious. Maybe not, maybe we're not maybe it's not as literal as the Sleaze King yelling into the mirror, but I think we've all had...
It's funny because, his reflection's a whole different character. He's, more serious looking and everything.
He's more sophisticated, even. Here comes the troll face.
Skeeter.
You mad, bro?
That's a perfect troll face. If
And
you
then,
ever want to isolate that and, make me into a troll, you'd use that face. That's still shot right there.
And this probably comes out of left field for most people. I wanted to do, a Skeeter remembering trailer. And some people were like, no, this is not a good idea. But for me, I think it's hilarious. I went through 5 different songs, including My Heart Will Go On and Smile by Nat King Cole and stuff. But then this Whitney Houston song just makes me crack up.
It's funny because he's getting strangled right there to the pretty music. I don't like the genre choice, but it's, for a point in the movie, so.
Alright.
Why is he just sitting in his car thinking about going to get Skeeter from
jail? We all contemplate those moments in our car, and yeah, that last swing was complete cheese.
Yeah,
I feel disgusted with it myself.
I think that was my idea. But
what, to wink at yourself?
Yeah, I think
that was my idea, and you
Oh.
felt bad about it. You didn't even want to do it. I twisted your leg. I lost my camera case at this complex. We're shooting so much stuff.
the corrections facility.
Yeah, that was a wild day. We shot Chris Mitchell's scene that day. We shot this scene this day. We shot so many things that day. The Nintendo Wii scene that day. And it was, you can tell I'm wearing a shirt underneath it, but whatever.
But life is rough in jail.
Yeah, you need 2 shirts to prevent the shankings. But
maybe he's got a bulletproof vest because that's how bad he is now.
He's a bad mofo. For sure. You're just a stink.
And it's funny because you'd never see Skeeter mad like this before Sleaze King betrayed him or whatever, and so he thinks he's bad and he can roll with the big boys now.
Mm-hmm.
He could even take on the bullies who run the streets or whatever. Those 3 bullies who made fun of the Sleaze King, and here's one of them.
I just love this shot.
He owns this little concrete
Well, this is where he does
place or
his peddlings.
Yeah.
Whereas some stuff, and I think it's again, this is a part where we told Chris what to say or what kind of things to say, and he said things, and he went with the moment, and he did a good job. But I think it is funny where he's like, I'm not gonna let you pass unless you give me some money for some stuff. And I'm like, can't I just give you the money? He's like, no, I have to give you stuff in return. And then, oh man, here comes the Sleaze King.
Oh, ever want to see the Sleaze King angry and fighting? Well, here he is.
He's gonna bust out some karate moves.
Yep, I got some mad karate skills. You'll see here in a second. Pull a Liam Neeson.
The funny thing about Chris is, in every movie that I ever do, he always runs away, and he always runs before I want him to. So in Flesh Freak, when he's the cop, and I'm like, Chris, stop running. Where are you going? It's the same in this one.
He
You
just,
run.
it's like there's a run switch, and he just runs, like a track star.
And so yeah, so Chris, he bolts, man. And if you don't yell cut, he'll go half the way to Lansing before he realizes.
Run, Chris, run.
But he's great. So I might just have to make a running movie just for Chris.
He just runs everywhere.
Chris, the running man.
And this is the
I know. I can't believe we're already towards the end.
the cheerful.
This movie could be twice as long. It really could. This proves it to people. If people think that we're not serious, we can't make long movies, or we don't have what it takes to make good quality films, this proves them wrong. We could have made this twice as long, or at least added a half hour and made it 90 minutes, which would play in theaters. We just needed to tweak parts here and there, but, you know, the script is solid. You know, you can't argue with that.
Cannot argue with our genius.
And
it's a buddy movie, it's a sleazy movie, and it's a funny movie.
It's got all those elements of fun that you may desire. Comedy, camaraderie. It's got
colorful characters.
Yeah, things that make you laugh, things that make you think. Maybe you want to try out some of these sleazy movies. It's educational. Here's a song that Jerry wrote.
Yep, for the Sleaze King.
And we came up with all these dumb names on the
Tony Baloney.
on the Jax, the meanie, which he's not mean in real life at all.
Percy the Punisher.
The Pusher.
Oh.
The Punisher is the next movie.
Right.
Harold, aka Africo. I thought everyone should have a name. Usually we just call him Thug 1, 2, and 3. Nick Huswells as Nick Tag. Montag plus Nick equals Nick Tag. Jeffrey Demore, and aka Skeeter.
And the man himself who's always the star. Me.
Douglas Euripides.
The king of sleaze.
The Sleaze King. And then I have to give credit to the movies. But anyway, like, no one wants to hear about the movies. Do you have any last words while the credits are going up?
Yeah, thanks for watching The Sleaze King. And give those movies a watch if you like.
Yeah, give those movies a watch. Give Super High Productions a watch. Please keep us in mind. Please, if you like this DVD, tell your friends. Maybe they would like to buy a copy. We are selling them for $5 a piece. And there's more to come. More movies to come. We like it that you support our stuff. And I'm really overwhelmed by the fandom. And if you want to be a part of it, that's like really important too, because we always want people to be a part of these things. Give us good critical feedback, good input, story ideas. And before we get to the last scene, I just want to say we had a good time making it. It was really fun. And maybe you should watch this. Or do you have anything else to say? I think it's still got a couple seconds. Oh wait, here it comes. The Easter egg.
Bull crap.
The Super High Easter egg.
I wanted Mike to do that. I wanted him to put it in the original, but he's like, no, it'll be an Easter egg. It might work better as an Easter egg. He might be right. Alright, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.